If we talk about energy security and transportation security, a couple of things come into my mind, and I want to outline only a few of those because I agree to what my colleagues said, and that I don't want to repeat anything. I'm just trying to bring in some things I believe we should take into consideration. First of all, energy security is extremely important. Each of us wants to be secure, both as individuals and as countries. But energy security in Europe is a major issue, and we are all working towards what we call an energy union. This is unfortunately only possible if there's an energy availability. Without available energy under market conditions, it's difficult to talk of an energy union or energetic security which covers a wide area like the area of our countries represented here. To achieve this, to achieve energy availability, I think we have to work on three levels. The first level is basically quite easy to see and to accomplish. It's interconnection between neighbors. We are working with the Bulgarians, with the Hungarians on interconnectors. Each of us is working on interconnectors with neighbors. That's a first, and that's a very important step, because this then leads to the possibility of interconnections between countries that are not direct neighbors. And here, obviously, comes the need of connections, like mentioned by Madam President. Our region has to have a connection north-south, because only east-west or west-east is obviously not a solution. We have to have connections which go north-south too. This is obvious. But finally, I think we have to think of connections between our region and other regions. For instance, we have very good connections to Siberia, but unfortunately, this led to monopoly of our Russian neighbors. So we have to think of other areas too. I think that we should get linked, for instance, to the Caspian area. I think that we should get linked to Western Europe, and I think that we should get linked to Africa. Because all this then will foster the possibility to have available energy from multiple sources. And what my colleague, President Plevneliev, mentioned before, we have talked about this, is obviously something we would need in our region, have a place where we can trade this available energy. Only after we have these steps in place, we will be in a position to talk about energy union and energy security. Because nowadays, having a country isolated from the rest, which is self-sufficient regarding energy, is something which may be okay in the short run, but it's not necessarily a safeguard against energy shortage in the long run. This is why, Madam President, I expressly appreciate the fact that you brought into discussion how we can cover our region, which spans from one sea to the other two, a 3-sea approach. In my opinion, the situation is a little bit different if we talk about transport security or general infrastructure security, because at least for our region, we have something which is called European corridors. And these corridors have been designed exactly to solve the problem of interconnecting countries from different regions and creating interconnectors inside the region. I think it is very sensible to talk about transport corridors, not only highway corridors, because transport corridors means highway, means train, and in maybe in an interval of the next 100 years, we will talk about connections with high-speed trains, because only these become very interesting for a society which lives faster and faster and faster. And finally, we should regard these connections as possible connections via air transport too. I'm not sure that these transport corridors have to be identical with energy corridors, because it's obvious energy corridors have to connect whatever country to the source of energy, whereas transport corridors have to facilitate transportation of persons and goods between countries and between regions. So if we manage to accomplish these things, interconnectors in the larger sense of the word for energy and transport corridors, then we would certainly become a region with a huge potential, and we would be regarded as a target for significant investment, for significant movement of capital, and this would obviously be something which would help us develop our countries. Thank you very much.